The old tent shuddered under the weight of the Louisiana rain, the canvas snapping like a ship's sail in a storm. Inside, a boy of 12 stood on a wooden crate, his small hands gripping a tattered Bible, his voice trembling but determined. "And the Lord said unto me, Go, prophesy to my people." Young Jimmy Lee Swaggart didn't know it then, but those words would define his life, a life of soaring triumphs, crushing falls, and a redemption that would echo through generations. This is his story. Ferriday, Louisiana, 1935. The Great Depression gripped America, but in the backwoods of the Mississippi Delta, hardship was nothing new. The Swaggarts were poor, dirt poor. Jimmy's father, Willie Leon Swaggart, was a farmer who barely scraped by, and his mother, Minnie Bell, was a woman of deep faith who sang hymns while scrubbing clothes on a washboard. Jimmy grew up in a shotgun shack with no electricity, where the only music came from an old radio powered by car batteries. But in that tiny house, something burned inside him, a hunger for God. At 8 years old, Jimmy snuck into a Pentecostal revival meeting. The preacher, a fiery man with sweat pouring down his face, shouted about hellfire and salvation. Jimmy's heart pounded. That night, he fell to his knees in the dirt and wept. "Lord, if you can use me, I'll go." His cousins, Jerry Lee Lewis and Mickey Gilley, were drawn to the wild side, whiskey, women, and rock and roll. Jerry Lee would later say, "Jimmy could have been the best piano player of us all, but he chose Jesus." And he did. While Jerry Lee played "Great Balls of Fire," Jimmy pounded gospel hymns on the same keys, his voice raw with conviction. At 15, Jimmy stood before a small country church. His hands shook. His voice cracked. But when he opened his mouth, something happened. There's a hell to shun and a heaven to gain. People fell to the floor, crying out to God. The boy preacher had arrived. By the 1960s, Jimmy's voice crackled through AM radios across the South. His preaching was electric, tears, shouts, altar calls that lasted for hours. Then came television. The Jimmy Swaggart telecast exploded. Millions tuned in. His crusades filled stadiums. His records sold faster than secular artists. He built Bible colleges, orphanages, and ministries that spanned the globe. But fame is a dangerous thing. February 1988. The news hit like a bomb. Televangelist Jimmy Swaggart caught in sin. The media frenzy was merciless. His empire teetered. His supporters felt betrayed. In a trembling voice before his congregation, he wept. "I have sinned against you, my Lord, and I beg your forgiveness." Stripped of his ministry, humiliated, Jimmy wandered in exile. Many thought he was finished. But God wasn't done with him yet. Slowly, painfully, Jimmy returned. No longer the flashy televangelist, but a broken man preaching grace. And then, his son, Donnie, stepped forward. Donnie Swaggart had the same fire. The same anointing. And soon, his son Gabriel stood behind the pulpit, preaching the same gospel. 3 generations. 1 calling. In his twilight, Jimmy grew frail, but his voice never wavered. He wrote books, recorded sermons, and mentored young preachers. And then, one Sunday morning, the microphone trembled in his hands. His voice was weak, but his spirit was strong. "I've walked through the fire, but he never left me." The crowd wept. Then, raising a shaking hand toward heaven, he whispered, "Until we meet, at Jesus' feet." The next morning, he was gone. Jimmy Swaggart's life taught us this. Grace is greater than failure. Redemption is stronger than shame. And a legacy of faith can outlast even death. His voice may have faded, but his echo remains. And somewhere, in a crowded tent or a glowing screen, a Swaggart still preaches. The fire still burns.